All right. I think we are looking live. We look alive and we are live. Okay.
We look alive and we are alive.
Yes, like that. Well, welcome back to the Change Position, our Friday Faves. I'm Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, joined by my co-host, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro, and I am in the middle of Austin, Texas right now, in the middle of a thunderstorm. We're hoping to get in a Facebook Live before maybe anything electrical changes on me. And if you don't know what Friday Faves is all about, we just like to review what's happening, what's coming in the Change Position podcast. And of course, Friday Faves, things that we are, have gratitude for. And we like to
Our
share
favorite
that.
things.
That's right, favorite things. And of course, if you don't know what the Change Position is all about, especially if you're hearing over on my other page, Challenge Doctor page, you can go to thechangephysician.com and learn more about us. And if you want to join the community, feel free, whether you're a physician or a physician ally. We'd love to have you there, and we'll give you occasional updates within that community and any upcoming events. So great to see you, Kevin.
And it is always a pleasure to see you, Melissa.
Well, it's a little later than I anticipated, but some days run late in the operating room. So here I am.
Well, also it's all perspective, right? For me, this is like, this is almost 5 o'clock. It's like the perfect time. But you live in the future, so it's different. It's different where you live.
Yeah, and I think I just heard hail.
Right on.
Well, it is an adventurous evening here in Austin.
We had hail last weekend, so it's that the climate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you hear background noise, it's not me dinging the desk. It is hail, officially. Well, why don't we touch on what's happened in the last week and what's upcoming?
Sure. So we will start off with a couple episodes here. For some reason, because we moved things around from Monday to Friday, I'm still a little discombobulated. So the two episodes that came out this week, though, are investing versus paying attention, which I really enjoyed. And I still think about that, actually, which is one of the reasons I guess we did an episode around it, is what are you actually investing your attention in? If you invest it in certain things, they will grow, sort of like if you invest in the stock market, versus paying attention where it's you're losing something, or perhaps you're focusing on the wrong things, which are ultimately detrimental to your relationships, your personal growth, or whatever. And then the other one was, if we cannot think it, then it cannot be, which is a discussion on that's a variant of a quote from Wittgenstein, who was a philosopher, wrote one book in his life, and that book was this philosophical treatise on the nature of existence. And one of the really profound things about it was talking about language. And I'm really into language, so I like that one as well. Because if you can't really think of something, then it really cannot be. And if you kind of think about that in the way the knowledge has grown, if we don't have the tools and you don't have the language to describe something, then that thing really in some ways doesn't really exist, particularly in a social reality. So there's some intricacies there that should be interesting for you if you're thinking about going into that more philosophical kind of journey there. So I would encourage you to get those two episodes. And that's it.
Yeah. And I think we'll just say that the next two episodes, actually the next three are the final of the first 100 official episodes. So we're going to leave that as a mystery, and you'll just have to subscribe and follow us on the podcast. It will be us chatting about various topics, and honestly, which order and the things that we're talking about, you're just gonna have to find out by listening in.
So. Well, and it's crazy though, because our 100th published episode, and if you're on your little podcast server and you go like, well, you guys are crazy, you already have 100 episodes. And that's because we put in the Friday Faves as a discussion in there. So if you don't actually catch us live, you can catch those later, but we don't consider those a quote official episode. Right. So the official episodes are official discussions. They're obviously not live or anything like that. And it's crazy to think that we're going to hit our 100th next week, like literally next week.
Yeah.
100 episodes.
How many podcasters get to 100 podcasts?
Well, not many. Because that's sort of like the benchmark, right? If once you've gotten to 100, then you can say you actually have an established podcast, or you actually have been podcasting. So right. Pretty cool, pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome. It is getting intense. I'm just looking out the corner of my eye, looking at this gray. It's intense. I'm getting. slapped on the side here. But
let's do this. Let's talk about favorite things so you can get off. We don't have to worry about you getting electrocuted or something. Can you imagine? We're on Friday Faves, all of a sudden like a lightning bolt hits and
I know.
the screen goes black, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's like, what happened? What happened?
Well, my favorite thing is in light of moisture, how about that? I'm going to segue it into, I'm very grateful for Barefoot Mosquito Company that came and obliterated. I'm sorry, I'm all about killing too many mosquitoes around my yard.
I hate mosquitoes.
Yeah. So I could be out for 15 minutes and get like 20 bites. They just love me, and apparently they're attracted to lactic acid and CO2, and I emit a lot of that, I guess. But anywho, I did 3 hours of yard work yesterday, and I only saw one mosquito. I don't think I got even a bite. And so here's a plug-in for Barefoot Mosquito here in Austin, Texas. I think they're in Texas all over. But
so anyway, do they find standing water on your property or what?
No, so they just spray it with a whole bunch of, it's like 99% organic stuff and a whole bunch of natural things that can be not good for mosquitoes. But you can,
like the natural stuff that kills us.
Like chrysanthemum and some other stuff. No, it's not terrible stuff. I just can't think of all the names right now. But they'll spray it, and you just have to be away for like 15 minutes, and it'll just dry onto the areas of the foliage. And so normally the mosquitoes hide in that foliage so that they kind of protect themselves from the heat and whatnot. But when they go to where they're safe, they're actually not safe.
Ooh, they're not safe. That's tricky.
Yes. So I'm that's my favorite thing of the week, is that I am actually able to go outside without getting eaten alive.
Well, I'm going to say that's awesome, because I hate mosquitoes with a passion.
Yes.
And
there's no real reason for them.
No, there really isn't, other than maybe perhaps food for other things.
Yeah.
Here's a weird thing. And if anybody's from Hawaii, you can tell me whether this is true or not. But apparently, Hawaii and a lot of those South Pacific islands didn't have mosquitoes. And they were introduced by like Captain Cook when he was doing his voyage, because they were in the water barrels. And all I could think of was, holy crap, if those stupid little bastards hadn't gotten into Hawaii. I mean, I love Hawaii as it is, but without mosquitoes, could you imagine what that would be like? It would be
like heaven.
Heaven. Yes. So yeah, I hate mosquitoes too. Luckily, they like my family more than they used to eat me all the time when I was growing up. But then I got married, and apparently my wife's blood and my children's blood is way sweeter than mine. And so they preferentially go after them.
So,
yeah,
lucky.
I feel bad for them, but at the same time, I'm not getting bit. So I'll leave it at that.
Hey, that works.
Yeah.
Nice. So what's your favorite?
So one of my favorite things, I've been talking about them all year long, but I decided to write, this is Fitty, my friend Fitty here.
Like 50 Cent? Oh,
no, like
50.
My 50-pound kettlebell.
Nice.
And I just love Fitty. So, because that's where I'm at. Like, it's only one kettlebell right now, and I'm just using this one. And then we'll be transitioning in about 2 weeks. We'll start bringing in his older brother, 60. And I just was thinking about that. I really enjoy them. I think it's a fantastic way to train strength and to build sort of endurance and power at the same time. And so that's definitely my favorite thing. Of course, you guys have been watching. You always see it all the time.
Yeah, Fitty makes you fitty.
Fitty makes you fitty, and it does. It's just a fantastic. I'm so happy.
I need myself a 40.
You need a force of 40?
I need a 40.
I have a 40 too. My 40 is nice too. I like. I
think
that one.
30 and 40 would be kind of my like good maintenance. 30 maintenance, but 40 would be kind of like take it above the baseline.
Yeah, a little shock action to your muscle groups and things.
I need to get that. I need to get a 40.
Yeah, and well, I gotta say, I do think I really like the kettlebells because they do sort of shock your system. Like,
well, the different movements, the different angles, everything is constantly adjusting.
Yeah, so fantastic. So that's one of my favorite things. My other favorite things I don't mention this often, but my family. Aww. So for those of you who guys don't know, I have 2 children. They're both wonderful, fantastic little creatures. Well, they're not so little anymore. And my son is graduating next week from high school, which just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So just been thinking about them quite a bit, and spending some time with them and watching them and getting excited for his transition and the future transition for my daughter. So favorite things.
Bittersweet.
It is bittersweet. And I think we should do an episode actually, if we haven't, on I just call it 95% time. I'm not sure if I got it from a blog post. Did we ever talk about this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, we should do it. There's a long form blog called Wait But Why. And I have no idea if they're still publishing, but they have these long forms that are really, really good and they're sort of classic. And one of them I'll have to find, but it talks about 95% time, which is if you kind of go through your life in weeks and then you kind of break those 90 years and you break it into weeks, and then you sort of kind of do your little transitions of what each era is. So you have 0 to like 18 for high school, you have your college years, you have your early career, et cetera, and retirement. And one of the discussions in there was talking about, well, you kind of think about this is I'm not going to cry, but when you think about your children and you think about the time they're born until they graduate from high school and then they transition out, like, and that has changed a little bit with how the pandemic is, but eventually they've transitioned out. 95% of the time you're going to be physically in presence and around them is just in that 18 years. And then if you think, then you've got another, whatever, 50 years, or I don't know, if we live to 52 years of life, that remainder of chunk, that 40 years is only 5% of the time you get to spend with them. Yeah. So it is definitely bittersweet. And I think that would be a fun episode because they kind of break it down in all these little things. Like the people you met in college is only for, 95% of the time you're going to be with them is in those 4 years or 5 or whatever for college. So yeah, it's another interesting kind of time perspective to think about.
Right. And why one of the most important decisions you'll ever make is the person you marry.
Because the 95% of the time you're going to be with that person could be a long chunk of time.
If it's not the right person.
Yeah, and then it's the not right person. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, watch out.
Yeah.
Well, that's something definitely. There's a lot of discussions that can come out of that. I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll make this a short Friday Faves, and I don't know if this is a lull or the quiet before the next storm, but why don't you take us out?
All right. Well, folks, thank you for joining us for another Friday Faves for the Change Physician podcast. It is always so good to see you guys either live or if you're watching this later or hearing it later on the podcast station. We are very, very excited for the 100th episode, which is coming up next week. Hope you guys stick around for that. If you are interested in the community and or would like to stay in closer touch with us, you can go to thechangephysician.com and sign up to the email list there, whether you are a physician or a physician ally. And until next Friday, maybe around the same bat station, you guys stay well and we'll talk to you soon.
Everyone take care.